God has deposited a lot inside of us. And so be creative. Make sure that you look around you and you saw in a video, this is my friend, I will take your phone. I won't get it. There's somebody crying in my office now. His phone was seized. He was playing games. And then can you put it in your bag? So, you ensure that you are solving what? There's no discipline you are in that you cannot solve a problem. There's no discipline you are in, you cannot make an app. I hope you get what I mean. Whether you don't have to be computer science, you can make an app. There was a week, I'm missing those days, I don't know what's happening. Criminology had a week here. And we saw all sorts, how some part of security, how you can have a gas cylinder that does not, I can't remember now, that does not explode or something. And different ways you can put something and you catch, you monitor security. You can do anything. You can do an app for sports or games, anything. By 2030, 70% of jobs will be computerized. Are you following me? By 2030. So those reading computer science and the like, job. And those of us not reading it, you see people now graduate, they go and do data science, data. Are you hearing? I know someone who's studying sociology. He spent 1 year learning data. And they're getting employed. So, solve a problem. That's all I want to say. Are you following me? Go to your room. Maybe they're giving you a title. For those of you in 300, then you can begin to dream about what you want to do. What is society? With respect to communication, with respect to health, with respect to whatever. There's someone now who graduated, a young lady, she graduated, she has an NGO already taking care of mental health. She did not study psychology. Are you following me? She didn't study psychology. She's young, she's 24 so. And she has masters already, she already has a platform for she has something that she uses to help those that have mental challenges. Are you with me? And all that. So you need to solve a problem. We are talking about Yahoo. Is there anything you can do to help such people? So many things. However, you can solve a problem and you are not able to communicate. You are not able to write it properly. You are not able to package it properly. Are you following me? There is what we call Innovate Chrisland. And I want one of you to win that prize this year. I'm the one. Okay, if you don't want to win it. You want someone to win Innovate Chrisland. Something unique from your project. I know some of you have already started, but think of developing or doing something unique, attributable to you. The other aspect is the way you write, the methods you use. We are from different disciplines. The method you use, introduction, chapter this one, literature review, or we have people in humanities, we have people in science. So the way you write is very, very important. A lot of the things we read on our phone, people wrote them, am I correct? They wrote them. Whether on your phone, whether in e-library or print library, people wrote them. So you want to write in a way that is accepted. There are global standards now. There's what we call plagiarism. Plagiarism means copying people. You are not supposed to copy people. So last session, I want to tell you, we did all of this. All the students had to pass their thesis through grammatical check and then plagiarism check. It's a particular standard, you won't graduate. I remember after graduation, somebody still came here for clearance because she could not fulfill that requirement. Why? You are original. We're not punishing you. You can read materials, read documents, read stuff, like Dr. Kimeno will say, and interpret it in your own way. Are you following me? Why can you think that preachers, ministers, they will take this Bible that we have been reading, isn't it? We read it, and if they take any chapter, let's say Genesis chapter 1, and you bring 10 ministers to talk about it, will they say the same thing? Do you hear me? Will they say the same thing? So when you read stuff, when you read things, you can be original. You can read 10 things and then understand it your own way and put it in your own words. Language. The reason is that when you plagiarize, you are stealing. It is robbery, it's armed robbery. I'm serious. Now imagine you develop something and somebody goes to take it from you. Will you like it? Something you slept overnight, you worked so hard, and somebody does one and takes it from you. That's what plagiarism is. Yes, the knowledge is there, but don't steal it. Use it, do not steal it. Does that make sense? Use that information, but do not what? Steal it. What are two of you doing? Huh? What are two of you? I think so. Alright. So, they're going to teach you how to, concept notes, hypotheses, all those kind of things. You write. Your writing will be publishable. We have a lot of wonderful experts here. Chrisland is growing. We have a former VC here, Professor Nobajo, and you appreciate him. Somebody told me, most of the books in mass form he has written. So if there's anyone that teach us how to write, it is who? So you are really blessed. He taught my husband though. So, yes. So he's a teacher of many people. So we are glad to have him and his teach us how to write. So that's basically it. Then when you carry out the experiment, how people can write the introduction very well. When it now comes to discussing what they discovered, they find it difficult because we really require you to say it a lot in your own language. And then you see people battling with it. You might see, if there are 100 pages, you might see 60, 70 pages on introduction, literature. When it comes to discussion, because discussion is you discussing your result, you might just see 1 page, 2 pages. That's to show how limited that person is. Are you with me? So once you're able to do your project in a way that we will be proud of. And I want to challenge Dr. I'm waiting for us to post our projects of last year. We are proud of them. They did well. And we want you to do better. Did they not do well? Some of them. But they all need plagiarism check.
Yeah, but
and some of them, all of them next to percentage. Yeah. Yes. I think we placed it at 30%. And they all met it. We forced them to meet it. So it's good to start learning it now. So on that note, I want to appreciate the organizers, as well as those that will give talks. Professor Akin Bobola, maybe we come in later, Professor Nobajo. She's always there. Dr. Ayedo. Dr. Ayedo is very good with analysis. And then tomorrow, Professor Adegoke and so on. But I want to say something. Chrisland is working out a memorandum of understanding with Lethbridge University in Canada. So they'll be talking to you today or tomorrow from Canada. If I am you, I'll just come and sit like this. There are opportunities for every one of you here to study in Canada. Are you with me? They're going to teach us about data analysis. They've told us we form a little unit of data analysis and we need some of the students to even volunteer there and they earn some money. So you don't have to go outside to do your data analysis. So they're going to build that capacity for us using you. And then any one of you that makes a first class, I've forgotten the percentage, who was there? First class, this is final CGPA, the last point is 5, right? I don't know what 87% is of it. Anyone that makes or that 87%, maybe 4.5, I don't know. Is it 4.8? Okay, let's just say first class, you stand a chance of getting admission. Are you with me? But if you make 4.8, are you sure 2.8? 87. Yeah, it's 4.8. Yes. All right. So I don't know where you are at that time. But anyway, if you have anything close to that, automatic scholarship. So we're working on that MOU with them. One of them is already teaching here now about virtual, so it's going to talk to you virtual. So listen very well, ask questions. How you can study in Canada free of charge. It's very possible from this arrangement you have with them. Also, if you don't get scholarship, you can have opportunity to get what they call teaching assistantship. I know a lot of you want to go to Canada these days, so it's an opportunity for you to wear. Are you with me? And all that. So they will speak to you. Speak today or tomorrow? Tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow. All right. So we have the packages for you. Enjoy and God bless you. Please encourage us. Encourage us. Don't distract. Listen very well. Don't play with your phone. Please. We are not taking your phone from you.
You are very lucky that you decided to overlook your phone with you and then can consider yourself lucky. So can we please do that? That's why I said to consider themselves lucky.
No, if they misbehave, it's not.
So now we get that for her again. She has really worked on some of the things we want to discuss. For instance, you talked about plagiarism, how dangerous it is. You will get the opportunity to hear much better or in fuller perspective from our father, who has also been an administrator, just like you have heard. There is nothing. He was a student, he was a teacher, he was an administrator to give back to the society by teaching in this university and even volunteering to come for this program. So I'm not taking this for granted, and then I'm going to be a little harsh if you are found not to be taking things seriously. As we welcome Professor, I don't want to call his name like the university say, but I have to. Our daddy, Professor Onobadio, can you do this for us? Okay, two volunteers should help us with this. Somebody should join me. Nobody. Why? Sit down. Get up. Yeah. This is responsibility for crying out loud. You are asked to do something and you that are asked to do something, get up. You will become ushers now. Yes.
I mean the ushers and no using of phone. Please, I need to be writing. Don't come here and write your phone because the temptation is too much.
You are supposed to have a notes for this. Because at the end of this, we are going to conduct a test, a feedback. Yeah. And you are going to give us a feedback and we are going to mark it and send to the department what your scores are. So expect that tomorrow. I'm serious about it. We cannot put this thing together and you want to take it for granted. We are going to conduct the test based on what you have taught here. This thing is being streamed, so if you like, you can watch on our platforms, on the university platform. No, later, so that you'll be well prepared in case Somebody, I was saying something the other time, somebody was telling me, what did I say? When I said why we should have the WhatsApp group for the different, for this project writing. So if you like listening, if you don't, but we are going to take it seriously. The result from this will be sent to your department, and then whatever you say can even decide on that. So the Lord will come out for the white. Yes, they are taking. Okay, so can you put the hands together for Professor Onokaji?
Well, before I get it, I want to pray. Father, I thank you for this opportunity. I thank you because I can do nothing except by your divine grace and mercy. Thank you, Father, because wisdom, knowledge, and intellect belong to you. Grant me all things in the name of Jesus, that at the end we can all have cause to glorify the holy name. Help your children to keep away from all distractions. In Jesus' name I pray. Now, first of all, I want to thank the organizers. For the organizers, the motivator has been the vice chancellor. Now, we are grateful for your tenure and for your motherly and for wanting to take this university to the top. I had some of her speak, and I would have said that she has said everything. But then, there are still things to say. And I've got a situation where I would have been asked to take you through all in chapter 1 to chapter 5, what you are expected to do. In this city university where I came from, I was taking research all through from undergraduate to master's to PhD. At Chrisland University, I teach research, master's, and PhD. Now, there are so many things that you do not know. Not because you don't want to know them, but you have not been privileged to know them. You see, the first is with the teachers of research. They don't know how to teach research because also they were not properly taught research. So you don't give what you don't have. I don't know whether I will be asked, I will be permitted to digress a bit from what I really have, because my own subject of this course is ethics in research project, regarding. And I think before you come to that, that's so many that you have to know before you begin to talk about regarding. Now, I also want to put on record, and this is one of the very few places that a university is putting forward this kind of program for 300 level, 400 level students to be able to appreciate what research is all about. And I want to give kudos to the Vice Chancellor again for arranging this. Now, what do we call research itself? To search. Research means in French, means to search. What are you searching for? Many of us do research without knowing that we do research. You want to buy a dress. What kind of dress? For what occasion? Where do you want to wear the dress to? Where will you get the dress you want? You have to do some investigation, right? You talk to people, talk to friends, talk to colleagues before you know what you want to buy. This goes for shoes. This goes for makeup and makeup kit. Everything you want to buy, you must embark on research. Now, the first dilemma with students is to cover a research topic. It's a dilemma because people will just sit down and count the topic. And at the end of the day, the topic is researchable. And sometimes you get to the end of the project before you know that you've been struggling with this research. And at the end of the day, there's nothing to write home about. Now, before you can embark on a research, you have to identify a problem. A problem, not problems. Because sometimes all the problems in your discipline, you won't fail soon. If you do that, what will others do? So, you're going to identify a problem. Now, how do you understand a problem if you don't talk to colleagues, if you don't talk to your lecturers, if you don't talk to experts in your field, if you don't look at what other people have done? You see, those projects that are in the library are not just there for decoration. Before you embark on any research, there is a particular part in chapter 5. It says recommendations for further studies. Recommendation for further studies. That is, the researcher is saying, I can't do everything. So, but for those who want to follow after my footsteps, these are the suggestions of areas you can embark upon. 1, 2, 3. They might even have up to 5 suggestions. You can key in of any of these suggestions if it meets your own aspirations. That is, some people have identified problems that you may want to key into, and at the end of your research, you're going to have suggestions for further study, because there is no way you will discover that you cannot finish everything, and therefore you're going to ask others after you to continue where you have stopped. Are you following? Now, before you can have a topic, you must have the problem. What is the problem? And let's look at the situation we have around. What problems do Nigeria have now? Problems of security. Okay? Yes, that's one. What other problems? Inflation. Okay. Now, how do you now catch the problem? How do you express the problem? How do you state the problem? Now, you may want to say the problem being investigated is to find out whether politicians have been responsible for the problem of security in Nigeria. You want to find out whether it has been the politicians' fault that we have insecurity in the country. That is the statement of the problem. One to investigate. Now, when you look at chapter 1 of your work, the first thing is background to the study. Background to the study. That is, what has motivated you for wanting to embark on this particular study? Is it as a result of discussion with colleagues? Is it as a result of having read some journal articles or having read newspapers? Or you are sensitive to what is going on around you? Is what has motivated you to want to embark on this study and learn to the study? Now, don't forget that even when you are expressing what has motivated you have to cite authorities. You understand? When I say cite authorities, now I'm in a teaching class now. Cite authorities, what do I mean? Okay, if you say reference, it's okay. Cite experts at your level. As much as you can express yourself, you must back up yourself with what experts are saying in that area. That is research. It is only when you are a professor that you may decide not to cite anybody, because you are already professing. Yes. The professor says it's worked out, and he feels like not citing. So be it. But then we like to cite because we want to encourage those that are coming behind, and sometimes we cite them and they are happy that we are citing them. And you get it. When you have looked at the background, then you are looking at the statement of the problem now that now want to state to ensure that you are able to encapsulate whatever research you want to do in a succinct way. It's not about 3 pages, 2 pages, whatever. The statement of the problem is just one paragraph to show that this. The problem that you want to investigate is to find out whether these things that you think will be so will be so. With that statement of the problem, you cannot have objective of study. Now, if objectives of study are properly articulated, then you may not have problem when you are capturing your research questions. Now, these are not, you don't take it from head. The problem you want to solve will now raise the objective for your research. And from the objective for your research, you now raise research questions. Now, why do you need research questions? Without research questions, you will not be able to address your research design or your research instruments. Now, when we say research instruments, many of you know about the questionnaire, which is very, very common, the questionnaire. But that's not the only research trend you have. You know, there can be death interview. Right? Okay, as a research instrument, there can be focus group discussion. If you are talking about a product, how people use the product. You can talk about experiments if you are in the sciences. You can talk about participant observation, that is, you want to be part of what you are investigating yourself. Suppose you are looking at the influence of a particular program on a particular audience, and you want to administer the program, show them the program, and what their responses. You also want to participate in the program. And so you become a participant also. Although you are the searcher becomes a participant. Are we still flowing? Are we still there? Okay? Now, research questions. Not less than 4 research questions. Not less. It will be more. And don't forget that research questions are expression of variables, dependent and independent variables. Have you been taught variables in class? Variables. Now, let me give you an example of a variable. But now, when you talk about a height that is measured, you know the height is measured. It can be 6 feet, 4, 5, 6, whatever. That's a variable. Age, you know, you can talk 20, 25, 15, 18. That's also a variable. The length is also a variable, something that you can express and compare two variables, dependent or independent. I think there must be one dependent and one independent when you are talking of variables. Now, for research questions, you have research hypotheses. Now, what are research hypotheses? It is an expression of what will happen between two variables in a statement form. One is research question, and research question is in question form. Will this happen? Will the students of Chrisland University always to test for food? That is your problem food. Okay? Now, is food a common problem in all Nigerian universities? It is. I've never seen a university where they don't complain of food. Probably the only one is American University of Yola, where they pay in dollars. Public works. So, and I keep telling myself, even the food you eat in your house, sometimes it's worse off than the food you serve here. You don't like that statement. Many of you don't know how to cook. So what are you talking about? And I said, unfortunately for you, I eat your food every day. So, I know what I'm talking about. It may be a little bit, but then what is not expensive these days. But then, the university is like a camp, a 4-year camp, in which if you do what is needful, you do it and get out. I know I will still have a time to talk to you about how to market your university. That's for another time. But there are so many things you don't know. Many of you say, Chrisland, I will not come back. I'm not even recommending. I'm saying you are destroying yourself and you are destroying yourself. If you sell your certificate cheap, nobody will help to sell it expensively for you. If you say what you have studied or what university you have been to is not a good university, then you are not a good product. Then your certificate is also not good. But you don't understand this thing. I've been to to universities, private. In fact, which university have I not been to? Private Covenant, Babcock, Bowen, Redeemers, Academic Traveler, New City, and Southwestern University. That's another one. You will never want to go to that one. Now, Crawford and all the rest. And without missing words, I said this is one of the best. Whether you clap or not, I said this is one of the best. You see, you have things, you are not strength of, nobody is harassing you, except you decide to harass people. Nobody will harass you to harass people because you not allow you to wear dresses that you harass. You have the head of the institution who cares, who is a mother and who is a listener. You have excellent teachers, and more are still coming. If you market your institution and there are more students, there will be so many things this university will do for you and do for the institution that it will become the talk of the town. Even now, this university has become the talk of the town. You don't believe me? Well, if you don't believe me, I believe myself. This place is neat and clean. Neat and clean. And the students are well trained. Clap for yourself. That is a product of research. What I'm saying is a product of research. I've done my investigation and I see that this is just how it is. Now let's go back to research hypothesis. That is what you have expressed in question format. You are now sticking out your neck to express in statements that this is going to happen. The question will say, this may not likely happen. And an hypothesis will say, this is going to happen. You are sticking out your neck. Not every research requires an hypothesis. For quantitative study, you may require hypothesis, especially people that are in economics and what other things that are mathematical, they may be needing quantitative study. But most of the other people will probably be needing quantitative study, which we are only going to express in questions. And then, even in the hypothesis, we have declarative hypothesis and we have non-hypothesis. Now, when we say declarative hypothesis, we say if something is likely to happen if we do this. Now, a non-hypothesis is expressed in the negative. This thing is not likely to happen. Now let's imagine you have a situation where you have expressed in 5 hypotheses that this thing will happen and it does not happen. You begin to put your result so that it may happen. But when you say it is not likely, and if it doesn't happen, you are good. If it happens, you are good. So people prefer in research to use non-hypothesis. Then you have an objective of study. There must be significance of study. Significance simply means the importance of your study to people, to a group of people, or the beneficiary of what you are studying. If your study is well, is good, and you are studying a company, for example, the company they buy into your result, because you found out interesting things that probably they never thought about. Who are the beneficiaries of your result, of your findings? And that is the significance of study. Scope. Because every study has a scope. For example, we are doing a study on Chrisland University. Who constitute the components of Chrisland University, for example? I mentioned some of the components in terms of people that constitute Chrisland University. One, students, yes. Two, staff. And even in staff, there's academic and non-academic. Now, if you have postgraduate students will also be there. Are you getting it? Now, even in Chrisland University, we even talk about parents of students. They are also part of us. Now, if you now say scope of study, it means your study is restricted to only students. And when you have students, are you saying all levels of students from 100 level, 200 level, 200 level? Or your study will only embrace 100 level students? For example, we have a study that we will also do here because we have question here. That is, what address your coming here? Who influenced you to coming to Chrisland University? Did you see our adverts? Where did you see them? Newspapers? On television? Which television? On social media? Or a friend introduced this university to you? Or your parents told you about this university? We would like to know. So it will help our marketing. One thing I know, I hope you are not giving me time because I have not even started my now, Vice Chancellor, I want to appeal because I have not even started what you have to do. Yes. But these are the basics that you must first know before I even begin to talk about plagiarism. Because if you don't know the basics, what are you plagiarizing? Now, when I looked at your timetable or whatever, your allocation, I didn't see something like this that will take the students to the nitty-gritty of what is called research. Okay, I will just rush over that and then maybe create another opportunity to talk to you again. Because it's not something you can finish in one school. Now, when you learn a scope, simply means that I'm restricting my study to 100 level, to 200 level, to all. Or if your study is about women, how much of makeup do female students of Chrisland University apply to themselves? Now, that scope of study, does it concern boys? Does it concern men? So you have to say scope. So that nobody will say, you are supposed to have covered this, or you are supposed to have taught to this. Once you state your scope, you have expressed your limitation. And then, definition of terms are terms that may likely confuse your reader if they are not properly explained or defined. For example, if you are talking with a study on use, is use, who are use? My mother said I'm a youth. That's what she said before she died. And I believe I'm a youth because she said so. Now, you are doing a study on youth. Are you following the next code that says youth is between 18 and 25? Or are you following my church and that says youth is between 18 and 40? Not defined. To you, or according to an authority that says youth is between is a bracket. Your chapter 2, that is crucial, is about theories, theoretical framework, and literature review. Theoretical framework and literature review. Every work, every research must be backed by at least two theories. At least two theories that were examined. And at the end of the day, you may discount those theories, or you may amend some theories. That's academic. You find that those theories have been their discipline, and there is need for some other theories. Now, there's literature review. Aha! And that's where my own subject comes in about plagiarism. This is a talk essentially about plagiarism. But then, you see, we talk by the hurry. And because we start our project late. We said that by 300 level second semester, everybody must have his project topics approved. So by the time they go for long vacation, they are communicating with their supervisors, and by the time they are coming, they are finished with chapter 1, 2, 3, and they are already able to doing they are administering their research instruments. So that by first semester when you come back, you are doing just the final things with your supervisor. End of first semester, you are finished. That's some of you are not even started. I have somebody that has not even seen. And I say it is not compulsory that the person graduates with others. You know, it's not. Because if you don't do your project, you cannot graduate. So it's a course system, and everybody can graduate when they like. It's your money, not my money. Okay. Now, as researchers, you must, once you know the problem you want to solve, you must ahead of time, whether you are seeing your supervisor or whether your supervisor is available or not, you must begin to read literature around your subject area. And when you read, you make judgments about important things you want to include in your research. And when you are making these judgments, the author is critical. You must put down the author, the date of not date of birth, the date you are putting, you put it there. The page number of the book or journal article, you put it there. And you continue doing that annotation in all your readings before you now come back to begin to assemble. You see, because we are impatient, and because we want to say garbage in, garbage out. What have we not seen about projects? Some people should go as far as Bauchi to come and take project and then dump it down and forget some things about Bauchi, and so we now begin to see Bauchi and you are in Chrisland, begin to see. That is plagiarism at the highest order and to be jailed. Jail, that is the punishment for that kind of plagiarism. To be sent to prison. And if you escape graduating and we discover your certificate will be withdrawn. That is what is called plagiarism. It is an academic rascality for somebody to dub as if they are dubbing my textbook. Dubbing my textbook without my permission is stealing, and I can take you to court. 2 weeks ago, students from master students from Olabisi came for my book, and the book was not available, and I gave them and to do a photocopy. You can't do a photocopy of my work without my permission. I get you. I can take you to court and you sentenced to some years in prison. Okay. So, which means that as you read, you just to provide all those information. And it's always advisable, because for you not to plagiarize, you must learn what is called summary. Summary. First, you want to incorporate something into your work, you first read it. Then you summarize. You know, the unfortunate thing is that many of you did not do summary in school. You just did objective. A, B, C, D, or E. A, or B, or C, or D, or E. Summary is to just capture the essence of what is there in your own words and in your own structure. The person uses paragraph and you put paragraph. The person uses folder. That is plagiarism, because you are not expressing in your own words and in your own format. It's because you don't know. Now that you know, it is an offense. And that's why projects are not something you do in one semester. Once you start second semester, 300 level, and instead of playing around and going to practice in semester and your holiday summer, you use all those things to gather data. And you can see, some of that don't mean this. You have the brain to do it. But now you know that it's not acceptable. You are going to, you must cite people. At your level, you must cite authority. So that we know it's not your work, but you have summarized the person's work and you are quoting the original source. Now, one lecturer was presenting a note to his students in Chrisland. According to this, every line was according to, and one person said, sir, what of you? According to you, which one is according to you? And that means you cannot be according. Without expressing yourself. You are expressing yourself, and that's why you are summarizing. But that's not to say you can quote verbally in some complex situations where you don't want to be associated with that. What that person is done. If, for example, you read somewhere Buhari is a stupid person. And you express it without quoting it. And then put the person that said so. Even if you are arrested, your punishment will release you. Because that's what we call social responsibility. In journalism, somebody says so. That's a great word, don't use it. But if you must use something that is delicate and whatever, put a quote. A quote means it's not new. But what you have assumed responsibility for the summary. Are we getting it? So let me quickly now run through my 11-page thesis. I said quickly run through, not. Dr. Abiola is already stressing me. Now, research ethics provide guidelines for the responsible conduct of research. It educates and monitors scientists, physicists who are conducting research to ensure a high ethical standard. Ethics means morals. Now, high ethical standards. And I said some ethical principles include the following. If you want to take this down, ethical principles include honesty. Be honest about what you are writing. If it's not you, say it's not you. 2, objectivity. Objectivity is saying things as they are. Citing truths and facts. Integrity. You may be a 400 level student, but you have integrity. Because there are so many people that are not the 400 level. And they are going to go beyond that. And so you don't destroy your integrity now. 4 is carefulness. 5 is openness. 6 is respect for intellectual property. What you mean respect for intellectual property is that intellectual property are products of people. And you must not steal what they have done without referring to them. What they have done is an intellectual property which they have an exclusive right and you can have patent for it. So, you must have respect for intellectual property. They are not charity. Your respondents may answer your questionnaire and they don't want to be quoted. So, or you interview them through their interview and they don't want you to say this is what they said. So you must have respect for confidentiality, then responsible publication. Now, which means publish in order to advance research and scholarship, not to advance just your own career. Avoid and educative publication. Now, there are people, I was trying to appraise somebody for profession. And I saw one work translated into 6 journal articles. And he was writing basically the same thing and trying to fool himself. I just took one of them, one of the 6, and discounted down the other 5. Don't continue to repeat yourself. Okay? There's responsible mentoring, and that is for staff. Dr. Tola, I'm looking at an opportunity to address that sometimes. Okay? Responsible mentoring, help to educate, mentor and advise students, promote their welfare, and allow them to make their own decisions. Don't force if you are supervising somebody as a lecturer, don't force your own thoughts on that person. You can help to shape his thoughts. Say, is this what you are saying? Is this what you want to talk about? So that the person will get to his own conclusion without you asking him to do your own thing. Know and obey relevant laws and institutional institutional and government policies. Now, what is the importance of research ethics? Now, research ethics is just to govern the way we do research so that we are morally right and we don't infringe on laws so that we don't find ourselves behind bars. So, research, because research is somebody's property. And if anybody does, you have a right to take that person to court. So, ethics are important for a number of reasons. One, they promote the aims of research, such as expanding knowledge. Research helps to expand knowledge. Two, they support the values required for collaborative work, such as mutual respect and fairness. This is essential because research depends on collaboration between researchers and groups. That sometimes research is not done by just one person, not at the undergraduate level. But later, when you become a researcher, you're going to find out that 2 or 3 of you can pull resources together and do one research, and even ask for grants to be able to do that research, so that everybody is bringing something into the research. But whatever you are bringing must be documented, so that we know whether you are the lead author or you are the sub-author and you are number 3. But then there is a practice among academics. Rub my back and you do your project, you do your research, you put my name without having anything to do with it. I do my own, I put your name. And so, that is academic fraud. And people should be jailed. And so you have somebody having 20 papers. Whereas, maybe people did what just do. People are doing friends. They put his name. He put his name. And he has so many already. He has so many publications. And we have to call himself a scholar. It's a fake. It's a fake scholar. So, avoid that. There's what we call ethical dilemma in research. Ethical dilemma in research. But dilemma, it is almost a situation of helplessness. How can you avoid a situation of helplessness? One, discuss intellectual property frankly. See, what most of you don't do is to discuss. That's a lot of information. Discuss with your colleagues. Instead of gossiping, discuss with your supervisor. Discuss with your lecturer. Discuss with people that know they are experts in those areas. You mishandle intellectual property. You may find yourself in trouble. Now, two, be conscious of multiple roles. That concerns lecturers. Multiple roles. Is a lecturer, is a researcher, is a student supervisor, is a student teacher. So he has so many roles. Now sometimes students are forced to do teachers, lecturers, research without giving credit. Now, if that work is majorly the student's work, then the student is the first author. There's nothing wrong if a lecturer decides to collaborate with you, because it's mentoring, that's mentoring. But there must not be intellectual falsification. It's your work, it guided you. When it's presented a paper, you are number 1. Then it becomes number 2. I'm going to still need this name to but then it must be accorded the right of place. Because in future, you will need that article when you become a lecturer like us. How many of us want to become lecturers? Raise up your hand, you want to become a lecturer? So what do you want to become? You don't want to read exactly. Now, I don't blame you, because I was like you, in my 400 level, I swore to God that I would never read a book again. And God was smiling and enjoying himself. And a prophet, I met a prophet, and you might look at when prophets were still prophets. He said, "Gentleman, you are tired of reading." I said, "Yes." He said, "You will read and they will beg you and you will not stop." And I'm still reading. I'm still reading. Last night, I was still reading. So, and I've said, whatever you want to do, be a fashion designer, be a trader, be a visitor to Dubai to get your first degree, to come back for your master's, go for pay. And when you are training, if you like, be mending shoes, if you like, be doing makeup, at a point in time, you will come back to academics when you are tired of all those things. But the first Scout says, be prepared. So, and I said, we will soon start masters. Mommy, right? And when we start, you must come back here. And those of you that are saying, Chrisland. And my son, when I told him, is he from Backup? And I said, go back up to your master's in Backup. He said, no, I don't like Backup. I want to go to Covenant. We went to Covenant and they showed him we went and he cried, Daddy, they are frustrated. I said, did I not tell you? Because where you know, even you know, it's better than the same. You don't know. And here, look, you can pop into my office when I'm eating. You know, this generation, they don't even understand that you are eating. They will want to get, so I will close my food. I said, what can I do for you? Because we don't allow you to rest. But how many universities will do that? They will put on their door. You can only see me once a week at 4 to 5 p.m. We don't do that here. And that's the advantage of coming back to your home, where you can ask questions, where you can thoroughly. Now, follow informed consent rules. There are consent rules in the research, which we will learn about later. Now, respect confidentiality and privacy. Okay. Now, what is plagiarism? It's a term used to describe a practice that involves knowingly taking, like knowingly stealing your mother's meat in a pot of soup, knowingly taking and using another person's work and claiming it directly or indirectly as your own. Now, in many countries of the world, plagiarism is taken very seriously, both legally and ethically, and can lead to disciplinary actions such as expulsion from the university, or also being charged to court. And that is sent you imprisonment for 2 many years. If you plagiarize and you are caught, it will damage your reputation and credibility as a scholar. Plagiarism can be intentional downloading. Intentional downloading online. Or unintentional, that is, improperly citing the source in the paper or using author's words without giving it credit. Talking about that. Some examples of plagiarism include the following: turning in somebody's work as one's own, and I give an example, copying words or ideas from somebody else without giving credit, and failing to put a quotation in quotation marks, giving incorrect information, changing words, but copying the sentence structure of the source without giving credit, or copying so many words or ideas from the source that it makes the majority of the work whether you give credit or not. You look at the page, somebody's work is 3/4 of the page. That's beginning. That is, it's all his words, quoted verbally. And you give him credit. No, it's beginning. Language in your own words. Okay, so now one may now be tempted to ask whether using the ideas of others is a problem. It is not. However, it is pertinent to note that scholarship is a conversation in which we are expected to read, analyze, and respond to the ideas of others when writing your papers. In order not to be perceived as plagiarizing, you must cite your sources. This can be as doing the following. That's when you are doing your literature, you are writing literature, you are going through your so many books. Take good notes. That's the first. As you are reading and whatever, take good notes. Do cite correctly. 3. Use quotes effectively. And 4. Paraphrase correctly. Now, what are the consequences of plagiarism? Consequences. Plagiarism affects authors. Because when you play somebody's work, it's your own. How to cite his own work again, you will be citing you. And that's what. Okay? Plagiarism swindles readers. Plagiarism swindles readers. That is, plagiarism threatens the foundations of knowledge and destroys the link to past knowledge by refusing readers access to sources. 3. Plagiarism infringes author's future rights. 4. Plagiarism induces pointless research. 5. Plagiarism defrauds the system. 6. Plagiarism encourages sloppy research. 7. If persistent means with academic journals remain the guidance of academic knowledge. 8. Plagiarism brings out the worst in people. Because once you begin to steal, you continue to steal. 9. Plagiarism harms educational establishment. If, for example, they do check-up, plagiarism check-up, and we discover 4 of our lecturers have plagiarized, then their Chrisland they will be brought into the so you can destroy and destroy. So fighting plagiarism is expensive. Now there has to be a software quality that you get, and then you check whether the lecturers will go through quality, whether students projects or students papers, stamp papers, they must go through quality. So how do you avoid plagiarism? Keep track of your sources. As you are recording, keep track of those sources you are quoting and quote them correctly. Quote and paraphrase. As you are quoting, also paraphrasing what quote is, for instance, paraphrase majorly. 3. Cite the original source. And then the plagiarism checker. Because some people know how to use the plagiarism checker so that when they expose their work to the checker and they see that they are plagiarized to the tune of 70%, they go back and look at their sources again and see whether there are paragraphs that is not summarized, whether there are quotations that are not properly quoted, and whether there are sources that are not. Okay. Thank you for this.
I thought you clapped very well. I'll go disciplinary. I said I thought you would clap. Clap very well. You know, Prof started in a very scary way. I thought to think what we have delivered for others. But I learned something in teaching today. They don't just give you a point, come and talk about egg. And you start just say, egg has eyes and all this. Without talking about what it does and what other things that make up the egg, what they do. So I've learned that from so it started from the general and then and the specific. And for that, I think it serves another round of applause. Now, so I need to warn some of us. I didn't say some of you. Say some of us, and that is to be inclusive. Those of you going out now. Those of you going out. We are not even going to lock the door. By the time you go out, by the time you come back, you go and pay sentences. We will ensure that that is done. Because you cannot have two PCs sitting here and you can go out without permission. I'm not taking water today myself. I came here 8 o'clock and I have not left this. And you can say you want to go and eat or you came from your hall at 10 o'clock. So you don't have any excuse. The program is not going to take so long. And that's why we broke them into 2. Many of you are very responsible and want to appreciate that for many of you. Many of you were here since 9 something, and that is very commendable. So I want us to jam our hands for those people we did. Yes. You know them. The people who are envious, they will not jam their hands. Jam your hands for yourself, don't mind them. If nobody praises me, I will praise myself. Is that not? So, thank you, Prof, for honoring our invitation. This boy is very proud and this night. He decided to honor the invitation. Thank you very much. I will feel so honored. Quickly, we will just go straight to the point. For something that we consider very important, psychology and achieving success. Well, from my own experience, I knew people who started master's program together, and I know many of them did not finish it today. Not to talk of PhD. PhD can be sapping, you can really get exhausted. But master's program, you write, but it's not so rigorous like PhD. And people did coursework just to write PhD, to write their master's thesis, and you could not write it. So how do you write to achieve success? We are also heard of cases of students who they just develop a kind of what do you call it? This kind of headache, and it no longer go on. So how do we avoid all those things? And that's why we have someone who is a renowned psychologist. Our mom, Dr. Wilfred Akindemo. Can you guys So
so I can get it, because it still confuses me. But part of what it is in you standing up and sitting down is you're allowing the blood to flow again, so that the blood can go into your brain, so you're going to not yawn too much and get some activity going. Again, this is going to be quite short, but I hope impactful. The other thing I have asked you the few times that you're around when I talk is, make it important that you get one thing out of this. Even in terms of what I want to talk about, some of you are already pretty good in starting and finishing. There's some of you know, definitely. But even for those who are pretty good in starting and finishing, we know they are not yet perfect. So that I'm hoping that you're going to look at it and say, what's one additional thing I can add so that I can make sure I finish and I finish well. One thing we know is that the chances are that all of you will finish. But you can finish totally, completely tired and stressed out and not want to touch another book forever. Or you can finish in good time like a sprint. You know, there are different sprinters. The sprinters that get to the end that just throw the fellow, they are half dead. And the sprinter that gets there and then is still able to walk, they are tired, but they're still able to walk. So that the focus is on how can I get to the end without totally, completely making everybody and myself crazy. We've had that for 2 years. That's why I also appreciate this workshop. That the first year, we were all three-quarter crazy, as well as the students, in terms of trying to move them to the end. Last year was even worse. We were 99% crazy, everybody, and that is because they did not do their sprint in a way in which they're not going to be that tired. First and foremost, the other thing I'll start off with, for many people, again, are saying, that project is 6 units. So it's a huge part of your work. 6 units is a lot. So that in itself sometimes creates anxiety for us, you know. And imagine that if I have 6 units and I make an A, that's wonderful. Because that will boost your CGPA no matter what. Or I have 6 units and I make a C or D. That's terrible, because it's going to bring down your CGPA. So I know it's not unusual that some of you be experiencing some amount of anxiety. Like the person Prof just said, he has not even or she has not even started. Sometimes part of that is the anxiety of, and if you don't start, the time is still going to keep rolling. So first and foremost, I want you to be aware of your own anxiety around it, you know, and note it. Part of what you want to do is not to sink into it, but be aware of it and note it, and that's okay. Thank you. Everybody here, it doesn't matter what, has completed something successfully. So, it means you can complete things successfully. There's going to fail things, that's fine. But right now, in this moment, think of something that you've done and you completed successfully. So that again can help with the anxiety that, but it's me that did that, and I completed it successfully. So even this one too, people who have done it, they didn't have 2 heads. They had 1 head just like you. So this one also, I'm going to complete successfully. There's no way you can be where you are at now, that you haven't completed anything successfully. So I want you to remind yourself of you in that position, so that you can gain some strength and some amount of confidence that this too, I can be about it and complete successfully. The other thing I want you to be aware of is that during this time, you are also learning to be your own cheerleader. And what I mean by your own cheerleader is that you are the one going to also pep yourself up. It becomes important. Dr. Akiola had said something about people who started like their masters and not finished. Like I said, I know you will finish because the school will not allow you not to finish. Your parents will not allow you, just want you to finish well. You have all done resolutions and did not complete, did not follow through. So part of what we're looking at is, how am I going to follow through and do well? So I'm saying the other thing I want you to help is to be your own cheerleader. Remind yourself that I know I can, because you have succeeded in something before. So you can. There's no if, buts, or maybe about it. I know I can. The second thing is something that even Prof said, which is always very important. Know that I'm plugging myself into the great I am, into Jehovah, the God that you know has it all. So that even when I think I can't do it by my own power, because I'm plugging myself into that, I know I will finish and finish well. That's part of me learning to lift myself up. Okay? So all of this is just background stuff that I want you to remember, in terms of helping yourself. So now let's quickly go on and say, what have we learned about those who finish and finish well? Most of the slide is going to focus on one thing, but then the second one is going to give you all the other stuff. It's very practical. Your goals. You have to write down your goals. It feels like it's a lot of work, but believe me, we have found over and over again that when you write down your goals, you actually have a much higher chance of finishing at the point in time or close to it when your goals written out. That goals tend to motivate. They are self-motivators. Help us achieve success. Generally, research has shown that men tend to do this better than women. But that research says that doesn't mean anything. You don't have to. So the women are saying that in terms of getting themselves up per se. Because research, as you know, is just a point in time. It does not have to be here, but this is supposed to be here that I will also write these my goals. So that writing it down, having a very vivid idea of, okay, these are the things. At the end, I'll show you a little bit of what it looks like when you write your goals regarding your project, in terms of what you need to do and what you did not do, per se, writing it out there, so that you want to be able to vividly capture it, see it, feel it. In fact, each morning after your devotion, looking at the goals you've written for the day regarding your project, and then at the end of the day, the ones you can now check off. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. Allowing yourself, of course, along the way to make adjustments. There's no issues about that. But the key thing is learning to know that it's important. Initially, it feels like a waste of time, but it actually is very important for us to physically write down those goals. Some of what we found out about writing goals, and putting it down on paper, is that there's neuroscientific research showing cannot act on all of them. So that in getting all of this information, it has to make some decisions about what it's going to store and what it's going to discard. And part of what many times we find that we have a better memory for things we generate rather than things we read. And when you are writing your goals, you are generating it that I will do this, I'll do this here, I'll do this here. You know, so in fact you are doing double whammy. One, I'm generating it. Secondly, I'm also writing it. So that it sort of sticks, and that's part of why it becomes a motivator, and it's something there I can see that can help me in all these other ways, in terms of helping me to strategize in a way that will work for me. Again, in terms of your goals, it's important for you to review it regularly, and you find that it's also going to help guide your daily action. So part of what, remember I had asked you, think about what you've done in the past that you succeeded in. In this instance, when you write that goal, what you're doing is you're projecting into the future. And you're projecting success for yourself into the future. So that you can look at the past, what I can do well in, but when I write, I am finding myself also projecting into the future. You all might have heard about this acronym before. So when I'm saying write your goals, we know that there's a smart way of writing goals. And as you can see, the SMART, S-M-A-R-T, is part of what helps you with the goals that you're writing. So one, the goal needs to be specific. So say I will complete chapter 1. In 2 weeks, so maybe I'll complete chapter 1, and then I will go on to chapter 2, and then I will complete chapter 3. That is not specific. So that we want you in writing those goals to be quite specific, that your goal should be measurable. Completing chapter 1 is measurable, but in terms of getting to that point is not specific. Your goal should be attainable. Okay? So somebody will say, well, I'll complete my my long-term project. That is very stable. That's very fluid. When? How am I going to achieve it? Your goal has to be realistic and also time-bound. So that's where the SMART comes from. Again, so at least to reduce the repetition, I will go back into showing you part of what to do in terms of being quite specific about your goals. You want there to be that time bound around it. You want it to be attainable. You don't want to set yourself up to fail. Because if you keep on not meeting the goal, that becomes depressing. So you want it to be an attainable goal the way you've written it. You know the time period you have. You also want to be realistic about the way you read and the sort of person that you are. Because somebody might say, I'll complete 6 of this book at this time. It doesn't mean that the other person who can do 6 chapters at that time. The other person who being realistic might now bring it down to I'll do 3 chapters at that particular time. Okay? So, see, and still, because it's so important, I'm still stressing down the importance of the goals and writing it down. Don't keep it in your head. Your head cannot remember all of those things. That's why you're saying, oh my God, I forgot. So please don't keep it in your head. Secondly, the importance of breaking it down, making it into small, achievable portions. Then very important, take amongst yourself, have what you call your own accountability partner. So that someone else that can say, how far are you going with that? I have reached this goal, I have reached that goal. There are times when you may fall off, but we're encouraging that the other thing you want to do is to keep going, so that when you fall off, sometimes I can just smack myself, because in that sense you're your own parent. It's like, okay, get up and let's get right back on board again and get back to wherever I am based on the goal I have written. And that each time you complete one of your plots of goals, then also celebrate yourself. Because we do enjoy being celebrated. If it means that, okay, for this day now, I'm going to allow myself 1 hour watching an anime or binging on 1 episode or 3 episodes of an anime, whatever it is, that you have denied yourself, that binging point can be your reward. So your reward doesn't necessarily have to be it could even be an ice cream. Who knows? Whatever it is that you will find rewarding, but reward yourself. It's also important when you are achieving those goals to cross it out. Because again, research shows that when we cross it out, it actually is such a huge reinforcer. Because it means you have achieved. And that helps you now to do the second step. Okay? So this is like an example. What I'm saying that I am specific. You see, I'm putting down the week. So that I'm saying week 3. This is week 3. We're already making the assumption that some of those things in terms of problems, of statement and significance is done. So week 3 now, I have week 3 going from May 24 to May 29. That becomes my week 3. You'll see that part of what I've done with that, if you look at those dates, I've left Sunday free. May 30 is Sunday. So it becomes either my rest day, if I've covered everything, or my catch-up day, if I have fallen behind, per se. In terms of my week 3, so I'm breaking it down into those time periods. And each time period now, I'm breaking down. Because I'm not just going to give it, my big goal is now, I'm going to complete a rough draft of my chapter 1, for example. So now I break it down, because I know for my chapter 1, there's certain things I need to have gotten done. So I'm now saying that, okay, on May 24th, I will have identified 5 articles that I will read. Part of what Prof was even as I read, I note the citation, but then all I'm doing now that I'm promising myself is I'm just reading and just noting down. So that is my May 24 work. Despite all the other things, so that if I find that by the end of May 24, I've done only 4, I couldn't finish with 5. I know I'm carrying 1 over. That's fine. Because I will just say, okay, well done enough, but you now have 6 we are going to do on May 25th. I'm going to read that article also May 26th. So you see, I'm really putting it down, and it's easy for me to now be crossing it off. It's attainable. If I know it's attainable for me, it's achievable. It's within the time frame, per se, that I'm doing it. And those are the things I'm looking at SMART. But you're looking at that acronym of SMART. So I now have that all written out per week, in terms of what I want to cover. Again, remember that you may cover everything, or may not cover everything. But you will find that you will cover much more than if you did not allow yourself to be that specific. Okay? Okay. So, big is that thing. That's why I spend so much time on that, because it becomes very important. And because we know it guides, it motivates, it keeps you and helps you to be accountable. But there are other things that you have to do. That's just a huge one. Allow yourself to take the time to write it down. You'll find that by the time you also write it down, you already know when is this thing due. So you know the time span. And you have not broken it down into systems where you are not going to be overly stressed. Okay? So, but these other things are also very important. I talked about the fact that self-care, it is important for you right from now to also start taking care of yourself. Especially the Part 4 students, but also the Part 3 students, Only because one of the things you don't want is to find yourself breaking down. You want your body to work for you. Therefore, you need to learn to take care of your body. The last thing you want is that near exam time or near somewhere you do. Because someday you're going to realize that every day is counts and is important. So you want to be tip-top. What do we do in that instance? When we talk about self-care, 3 main important things that you don't want to compromise with. One has to do with your sleep. We sort of feel like if I don't sleep and I work, it will be okay. No. Your brain needs time to be able to put in what it has read and put it in place, in proper place, so that you do need your sleep. And when you plan things out, you'll find that you actually can get away with doing all-nighters. So sleep. Secondly, your diet. Diet just means the food you're eating. If you're just drinking Coke and Gala, and expecting on Monday Coke Gala, Tuesday Coke Gala, sometimes Coke and Gala all the time, your body isn't going to work well for you. It's going to find itself being going down. So you want to be able, even if you are eating just 2 meals a day, make it 2 healthy meals for yourself because you want your brain to work very well. Then, of course, physical exercise. Fortunately, because of the way terrain is, we tend to have to do the physical exercise, but it's also good because exercise actually also helps build us. It helps build your brain, it helps with the way our brain functions. So that's also very good. So remember self-care. You want to avoid falling sick. Take care of yourself. Secondly, connect with your supervisor. Remember that it's your work. You are just one of all what your supervisor has to deal with. Yes, you are important, but you are still just one. So that your supervisor can easily forget about you. But you should not forget about yourself. So please connect with your supervisors and don't always wait for them to be the one to call you. Because they may not call you until week 4 or week 5. And who is going to be very stressed? Yes, there will be stress some, but most of the stress will still be yours. So make sure that you connect with them. You have the SMS, you have their phone number and all of those things. Then you don't need to use just your supervisor. Use other resources too when you're getting stuck. When you're just trying to come up with ideas. Prof already has shown you that they have a very good grasp of the research method. I don't think he'll send you back even if you are not in mass comm when you want to come and ask stuff. So please use the librarian. Use people in the library to help you to find stuff. Be a nuisance to them. Don't worry. Because there's nothing they can do, maybe they will listen. So but then if you are still looking for papers, you are still looking for relevant articles, where else can I go? Which platform can I use? So use your librarian, use the lab technologists, use fellow students, use other lecturers, not just the supervisor. Yes, you have your supervisor there, but you are not tied just to your supervisor. So remember that you have to take charge and take care of that. Then of course, procrastination. All of you know Nike, don't you? And Nike's logo is what? Just do it. And that's what procrastination is. That you just need to do it. Like, I still have that article to read. When I come back, I still have that article to read. Oh, when I come back. Sit and do it. Just do it. When you are reading, and I've said this many times, but it always bears repeating, especially for some of these articles are very boring. We all know some of them are pretty boring. There's no importance of making about it, but you need to read it. So when you are actually also reading it, one of the things I encourage people is that I'm reading all those lines. It seems like I have to go back to line 1. Even what is it saying? After 30 minutes, I'm still on the first paragraph because I'm not just getting it. Quit it. Don't do that. Just keep reading. So I don't understand what's on page 1. Don't worry. Just keep continuing. Continue reading. Because after a while, some of you unfortunately have trained your brain. The brain knows that if I keep saying I'm not getting it, she'll get up. So that's what the brain has done. So you want to do something different for your brain. That you can say I'm not getting it, we are sitting here to finish this thing. And you'll be surprised that very soon, by the time you get to page 3 or page 4, your brain starts cooperating with you that she's not getting up, so let me continue. So that's part of the things we've also learned about the brain. So don't let that stop you. Keep going with it, you know. And the last thing that I'm going to, so that's procrastination. I'm saying just do it. You know, just do it. Just sit and say, hey, put your foot down there and start reading. Yeah, I don't care whether you get it or not. Start reading. Become your own parent in that instance. And then, because you are human, sometimes you are going to fall by the wayside. I'm saying just press the reset button. Because you already have all your goals very nicely written. So that you know where I have stopped, where I have fallen off, and now I just get right back on it, you know, and then start again, continuing from there. Always when you do that, have that one free day. So that one free day becomes the day for you to relax, or the day for you to make up what you have sort of lapsed over, because we are all human. Be nice to yourself also, okay? So even as you yap yourself small, also say, later you will do well with this thing, because you definitely will. Okay? See ya. Best of luck.
Thank you. Before we go on the next section, we have a program. It's not my program, it's your program. So before we go on the next session, it's just going to be very brief, don't worry. So I want to give room to questions and answers. Any question? If you don't ask questions, then we keep going. It means you are enjoying it. So questions? No questions? So let me say this. Okay, if there are no questions. Dr. Bello, where is he? No. So let me say this. Dr. Bello is coming up for some practical session. Just about 10 minutes when we're done. So just calm down. I also have another program supposed to be at the Senate building there. So we are not the only one. We are all in this together. Just calm down. Calm down. In fact, you guys are enjoying it. Those of us who attended public university, let's not talk about it. You know. So Dr. Bello is coming up to quickly talk to us, but I quickly want to make this announcement to you. Tomorrow, I'm serious, we are going to have that test. Then it's not going to be paper-based. It's going to be an test. So you are going to be given a link, then you answer your question there. And it's going to be on the spot. So what that means is that for some of you who cannot access your whatever on your phone, and it's not something you can even copy online, because there are things that you were taught today. So I'm going to be very, very nice. I'm going to share some of the teachings that we have been able to learn today. I'm going to share the video to you so some of you can decide to watch. And we are taking this seriously. So you must take it seriously too. So I'm going to give the link to your group, the group that you belong. So you go and answer the question. The 300 level and 400 level might be different, slightly different. So and it means that if you are not in that group, you may not be able to access that link immediately. So some people are just straining their eyes on me. It doesn't matter. No, what we are doing is the right thing. So you don't have to like it. So that's it. So quickly let's listen to Dr. Bello. But before we listen, let us welcome him with what? A round of applause.
Actually, I don't have much rather than the project area of the research of public research. Now, the first thing for you is how to determine the first thing is how to determine a researchable topic. How to determine a researchable topic. You know, when you are talking about a researchable topic, you are talking about a concept or a construct that open for systematic investigation. A concept or a construct that open investigation. Now, you as a researcher, how will you be able to do that? This my topic is really researchable. Number one, your research topic must have relationship between two or more variables. Your topic must have relationship between two or more variables. Let me give you an example. When you're saying privatization in Nigeria, the other one is privatization and national development. Privatization and national development. One is having one variable, that is privatization in Nigeria. But the second one is having two variables, which is cause effect. Privatization with national development, whether it will affect the national development or not. There must be relationship of two or more variables, and that is when you know that your topic is what researching. And that is when you know whether the topic is what researching. The another one is that your topic must be in a hypothetical format. Exactly that. Your topic must be what? In hypothetical format. When you're talking about hypothetical format, that is, your topic must have cause-effect relationship. Cause-effect relationship. Let me give you an example too. Let's go back to privatization and national development. Now, when you're talking about privatization, or let me give you another topic. Border porosity and proliferation in northeast geographical zone. Border porosity and armed proliferation in northeast geographical zone. Now, we are now looking at the banditry that we are having now, the terrorism that we are having now, that the ethnic conflict that we are having now. Can we trace it as a result of porosity of our border, which allow the movement of arms? So what we are just saying is that your topic must be in a hypothetical format that led to have a causal effect relationship between two variables. The another one is that your topic must be value free. Your topic must be what? Value free. Don't attack any bias into your topic. Because even the border porosity in the north, and proliferation in the north, you can treat topic to be not like southwest of that castle. You can treat the work to be southeast of that castle. Don't attack anything biased to the topic. Because if you attack anything biased like bad or good, you're finding out of the flare, bad or good. Exactly now. Because your topic is just in form of just like what I said. You don't know maybe whether it will exist or no. And that is why topic. Exactly. The another one is that how to process this topic. Know the group. Exactly that. If you can check any million textbook, know the group will tell you how you are doing. That's why you must have the foundational knowledge of your topic. Exactly now. You must have foundational knowledge of it. Because I want that you operationalize your topic. Exactly now. The rule of the research, when you have a few topics, the rule of the research is saying one will be fixed, while the second one will be built. Listen, I mentioned border porosity and armed proliferation. Now, the first topic is dependent variable will be fixed, while dependent variable in terms of armed, proliferation would be examined from the point of view of banditry, terrorism, inter-ethnic conflict, kidnapping. Nobody will do it for you. It's happening now. Nobody will do it for you. You will now look at the effect of weather porosity on the issue of banditry in Northeast. The effect of weather porosity on the issue of kidnapping. The issue of weather porosity. That is why I said one will live while the other one will go. That is essence of operationalization. If you don't have the foundational knowledge of it, you cannot know it. Exactly now. If you don't have the foundational knowledge of the topic, you cannot. Exactly now. If you also go back to the issue of privatization and national development, privatization is like the two. Tell you that now. But the two cannot remain fixed. Exactly now. The two cannot remain what? Fixed. You have to operationalize one and one remains operationalized. And that is right to down. Be able to design model. And immediately you operationalize that, then if you are giving yourself the statement of the problem, objective of the study, the research question, and research hypothesis. In fact, the three will be the same. Your number one is your objective of the you must be your number one in research question. Must be your number one in research hypothesis. Your number two must be the same. Your number three, they must at least follow each other. Without that, you don't carry out the research. It's happening now. And the other area that we are using to also take one time is when people are planning statistical analysis. At least in research, not social and medical science, you have what we call the two types of statistical package: descriptive statistics and differential statistics. Descriptive is when you are using percentage, bar chart, that one is explanation. But when you are testing hypothesis, that is where you use differential statistics. And differential statistics is divided into two. You have what you call parametric. Is that right now? And to use parametric and non-parametric, then you have to be portion of the word of the formula, right from the hypothesis. Is that right now? If your statement is saying to test the relationship, take note. If you are testing the relationship between the two variables, that means that you are using correlation. Is that right now? Because the doctor are just using chi-square. In statistics, they call it type 1 or type 2 error. Tell you that now. So that's the function of that structure. Is that right now? That's the structure, the function of that structure. If I say that is a function of B, is that right now? That is regression. Is a function of B, that is regression. But when you are comparing two independent variables, it's either you do t-test or z-test. Either you do t-test or z-test. What is the difference between t-test and that of z-test is the population. Is that right now? The population for the z-test is higher than the t-test. Remember that you have known and unknown. That simple and double. So that you have to know the percentage. There's no way. I'm from the numerical side. But I know everything pertaining to that. That's the know it. If you want to excel, you very well. But when you are testing more than two variables, that is analysis of what? Variance. They call it ANOVA. That is analysis of variance. They call it ANOVA. So that's to be called. Don't commit type 1 error, don't commit type 2 error. That's enough. And in that technocracy for us, you are too just to make it which is the other thing that the reference, technique of the reference, we are using upper 6 or upper 7. Not the one line code, upper 6 or upper 7 will be received. Upper 6, let me give you the upper 6. Let me just give you an example. When we are talking about testing, if you have payload, tell you that you go to your video, like 2020. The first letter will be capital. If it is privatization, P will be capital. Others will be small letter. Exactly now. Until you get the full stop, not for. Now, the location for that publication, tell them that either Lagos will now put the quotation, this column. Exactly now. Now, write the name of the publisher. Now, the topic will be in internet format. The topic will be what? In internet format. And that is the sign of about. But if it is about 7, the location of the publication will not be there again. Tell you that is the difference between about 6 and about 7. But since we are using the uniform, we are addressing people to use about 6. Go to the internet and Google. You will see everything pertaining to the about 6. When you are using reference, you have the way of when you are using journal is different. When you are using edited books, it's also different. And when you are using all these newspapers, it's also different. So that people just to come and and explain more better for you.
Anyone ask question? Please put your hands together for me. Put your hands together. Yes, I want to get a skin good. No. Okay, question. You should ask question. Otherwise, ask question. Those of you going, know that you are not. Hey, what? You didn't get the permission to get out. So I'm going to take attendance in your people visa. Yeah, I got the instruction of the visa to do that. So there's no problem. Just say. So question. So I get the sheet of paper once attendance again, and I'm going to count people here. So you can write them in the place. Yes, I'm taking another attendance. So people cannot sit in since 9 o'clock and you came at 12 and you are out. They are not attendance. Yes. And please afternoon. Or the closing attendance. Yes, that's fine. Question. Why is it that you people don't ask questions? I don't want to be asking questions. You don't want to ask questions. And you don't want to be asking questions. Want to know your name? Give me back.
My name is Salman from Military Security. Said that when you're comparing two independent variables, you use and also when do you apply ANOVA?
The ANOVA is when you are more than 2 variables.
Independent of any kind of variable.
When you have more than 2, that is taken for like analysis of data. That is ANOVA. Yeah.
So, but we didn't hear your response.
I said when you are comparing 2 independent variables, let me give you are comparing public and private. You know you are talking about 2 independent variables. So what we need to use is either testing of hypothesis or test. Now, if the population is less than 30%, you use testing of hypothesis. And if the population is more than 30 and above, you use what they call but when you're having more than 2 variables, take them now. That one is that 3, 4, 5, then that is the period that you use analysis of variance. They call it ANOVA. Take them now. The method that you have seen, you have known and unknown. If that is unknown, exactly now. So it's very easy. If you go to the online, very easy. And the another area that I want to keep in is when you are calculating your sample size. You have a formula. Go to the internet, just go to the method of calculating the sample size. Don't just base it on assumption. The first thing they must get total population. It is when you get the total population that the other you use carry your money. Carry your money is capital N over 1 plus capital N bracket standard error is to power 2. If you do it, you use it to get your sample size. You have different formula that to calculate the sample size, and then you must also get the total population. Take that. Only when you get the total population that you can use that formula your sample size. You have to get everything to the sample size. You have free freedom to talk to me.
do one. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will put that any question? Any other question? Tomorrow, we're going to start at exactly 10 o'clock on this before, because tomorrow we don't have to wait for some protocols. So we will start exactly 10 o'clock. And what that means is that if you are not here by this after latest, you are not assumed to have been present for the program tomorrow. So, and it's not good to victimize anybody. Okay, those of you sleeping, I don't know what it means. In church, when ushers wake people up and they are far into deep sleep, they don't start shake, so it's happening. Okay, so before you leave, instead of writing the new name, call up, please. Okay, so to make things faster, instead of asking us to write names again, we are just going to cross-check the name against. Make sure you cross-check the name before you can be marked for having attended to the end. This instruction is from the Vice Chancellor. You know, I'm a small boy. I'm just saying some errands and I have to feel what I am sent to do. I have to do what I have to do. Alright, so if there are no questions, tomorrow the program continues, but it's going to be more reports tomorrow. We are going to have more speakers. The person from Canada is speaking to us tomorrow. We are going to have many of our speakers who do not make it, but we are going to make sure that it's not so compact, so that we can have some breathing space. And I want to prepare your question. I am serious. Your questions are ready. You know, and we will do it. So if you have a laptop, you want to bring your laptop on the internet, bring it. If it's your phone, you bring it. What we want to do cannot take more than maximum 10 MB. If at all, it will take up to that for you to do. And you will do it within 10 minutes. And that's the assessment. And in the form of feedback too. Alright? So if there are no questions, I would advise you to confirm. Don't make it round. Maybe you go line by line. Yes, go line by line, please. You are my choice. So go line by line, like this line, go like that. I don't have to coordinate it. You need to go by your own appearance. So tomorrow will be like grace of God, and then God bless you.